Madison, and the pictures are by Tommy DePaola. I think you'll like this one. Okay, the quilt story. This is a story about this quilt. And what do you see in the quilt?
Stars.
These are shooting stars. Oh, very
Shooting
good.
stars and some stars are actually asteroids.
Oh, smart. Thank you. Thank you.
That's on the quilt.
Okay. A little girl's mother made the quilt to keep her warm when the snow came down long ago. She stitched the quilt by yellow flame. She only had candles to use. This was before we had electricity. Humming all the time, she stitched the tails of falling stars, and she stitched the name Abigail. This quilt is for her daughter Abigail. Abigail loved the quilt. She wrapped it around her in the quiet dark and watched the winter skies. Sometimes she saw a falling star. Sometimes Abigail played in the woods near her home. She had tea. Her dolls had tea. And the quilt had tea. Whoops, she spilled her tea all over the quilt. That's okay, you can wash quilts. Sometimes she pretended the quilt was a gown. She wore it to town on her horse. Chop, chop, chop. And it tore. So her mother stitched it up once more. She has a needle and thread, and she's stitching it by hand. This is before they had sewing machines. Sometimes she played hide and seek with her sisters. She laughed and cried, "Don't peek," and hid under the quilt, and everyone found her. Sometimes Abigail was sick.
But sometimes I play six.
She sneezed and sneezed. Then she slept under the quilt, and she felt better.
This is one of the done.
One day, Abigail's family moved away across wide rivers and over rock-hard trail. They moved in a covered wagon before there were cars and trucks and buses. The quilt went too, not stuffed in trunks. With the blankets and clothes, it kept the little girls warm from the wild winds, warm from the rain, warm from the sparkling nights.
And these big girls too.
They built a new house in the woods. Abigail's father built it with his hatchet. Chop, chop, chop. He built her a new bed right down here. Chip, chip, chip. He made her a new horse too. He worked until curly shavings covered the floor, and everyone sneezed and said, "Welcome home," and was glad. And Abigail felt sad. You ought to find out. New house, new horse, new bed. Everything smelled fresh of fresh chops and chips. Everything but the quilt. So her mother rocked her as mothers do, then tucked her in, and Abigail felt at home again under the quilt. One day when the quilt was very old and very loved, Abigail folded it and carefully put it in the attic. Everybody forgot it was there. A gray mouse came and loved the quilt. Her babies were born on top of it. They grew fat and gray in the warm stuffing.
Are they real and moving?
When they got hungry, they ate a falling star. Those naughty little mice.
No.
A raccoon came and loved the quilt. She dug a hole in a corner with her black paws and hid an apple there. A cat came and loved the quilt. A patchwork cat. It rolled on the stars and stuffing spilled out like snow. Then the cat curled up in the snow in the quilt and purred. "Kitty, kitty!" cried a little girl. She found her cat, and she found the quilt, splashed with patterns of sun. The little girl wrapped the quilt around her and she loved it too. So this is a different girl. She looks a lot like the girl from long ago. Can you make it not like new? She asked her mother. So her mother patched the holes. She pushed fresh stuffing in. She stitched long tails on the stars to swish across the quilt again. So her mom's sewing it up. One day the little girl's family moved away, across miles and miles of pavement and snaking gray highways. Now they have cars and trucks. They found a new home, freshly cleaned, freshly waxed, freshly painted, white. They unpacked and unpacked all night, and everyone sneezed on cardboard, dust, and said, "Welcome home," and was glad. And the little girl felt sad. Everything smelled of white paint and
I
boxes.
see boy.
Everything but the quilt. She has a brother.
Yeah. He's a boy. He's so cute.
So her mother rocked her as mothers do, then tucked her in, and she felt at home again under the quilt.
Yeah,
Here's a picture of the first little girl that had the quilt hanging on her wall, and this is the new little girl. Okay, I want you to look at these two pictures of the quilt. This is the quilt when it was brand new. Look at all the bright colors. That's the quilt the first little girl had. By the time the other little girl had the quilt, can you see how the colors have faded a little bit? Yeah. Oh, and I want to show you what these are. I couldn't tell at first. They are birds. If you turn it sideways, you can see that they are white doves. And doves are a symbol of love and peace.
And they turn it around, there's more.
Yes, that's right.
That looks like socks.
That's what I thought they were at first, white socks, but they're really doves when you turn it sideways.
I thought I would put that in my
Thank you. You were such good listeners. Now this one is our grandchildren.